I've often said in the past that it doesn't make sense to think about a piece of art without thinking about the artist. Likewise, it doesn't make sense to think about a watch without thinking about the brand that created that watch. And a key element of thinking about a brand and the watches it produces is its position in the market. Who is it trying to be? Who is it trying to sell to? What are the stories it's going to tell? And what does that mean for things like the materials, the pricing, the design? What I want to do is today is unpack that idea of brand positioning and talk about where various watch brands might fit and try and explain why some people get quite upset about watches not being what they wanted to, because I think it comes down to the brand isn't putting the watch or positioning the watch as we, the customer, thinks that they should or that we would like them to. But anyway, I'm going to go into that in a lot more detail after the intro. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Pete McConville. Welcome to my channel. Here I like to overthink, overanalyze, and just geek out on watches. Not just watches, but watch collecting, the watch industry, and a whole bunch of other things. Today, what I want to talk about is brand positioning. This is something that I started thinking about way back when the Moon Swatch came out. And I saw so much angst in the community about people frankly not understanding what Swatch was trying to do with that watch and therefore making wildly inaccurate predictions about what was going to happen next. You see similar discussions when you compare, say, a Bremont to a Christopher Ward, watches which on one level are very similar, but because of the brand's positioning and the way they try to sell those watches, actually talking to completely different people using completely different language. So today what I want to do is just sort of unpick and provide a bit of a toolkit for understanding brand positioning, not to make you like watches better, not to make you want a different watch, but rather just to help people, give them a toolkit to say, okay, I at least understand what's going on here. My starting point for this was actually an article I found on the web from a company called Tamango. I think they're a marketing and branding consultancy. And they had an article labeled, "So You Think You're a Premium Brand? Premium versus prestige versus luxury versus prosumer." In this article, Tamango broke all luxury products up into four categories, four positions: premium, prosumer, prestige, and luxury. Premium are very product driven, prosumers are for connoisseurs of a product. Prestige, as the title would imply, is all about status. And a luxury product, the luxury subset of the general broader idea of luxury, is discretion, style, refinement. Those don't tell you a lot about watches, and one of the categories I don't think really works for mechanical watches in 2024. So this is my take on how this looks. So what you've got now are premium watches, which are very focused on value. At the other end, you've got luxury watches, which are all about the feels and how that makes you, the sort of the gut reaction you get to those watches. You've got connoisseur watches rather than prosumers, because like I said, there's really no such thing as a professional mechanical luxury watch in 2024. So I just got rid of the idea of prosumer and replaced it with connoisseur. And what you're really after there is some sense of special insight or revelation into something other people don't understand or get or value. And then you've got prestige, and that doesn't change, and it again does what it says on the tin. These are watches which are about giving you and reflecting your status. So getting into detail, this is partially my words, partially stuff I've taken from the Tamango website. Let's talk about premium products. Now, premium products are those which are better than your mainstream commodity products, but they're better in a way which is clearly observable, clearly noticeable. So they're all about giving you great features, better specifications, and as best value as they possibly can. So premium brands are really sensitive to their competitors in the market, and they're consistently needing to demonstrate that how the customer gets value from this product. Premium brands, as I said, are all about feature set, specifications, and value. They're really product focused. This product is made from steel. This product has sapphire. This product has this movement from this company. It's very just in your face. This is the physical product in front of you. Premium products don't care. They don't really focus on identity or what this says about you, how it represents you. They don't care about history or heritage or authenticity. They're just about, look at this thing, isn't it good for the money? I can think of no better example of that than Christopher Ward. But to be honest, 99% of micro brands actually play in this space. It's one of the things that defines most micro brands. The best evidence that this is Christopher Ward's space is actually their own ads. If you look at this ad for the recently released 12, I mean, they're constantly talking about this design wasn't ours, we got it from somewhere else, but we make it for £2,000 when someone else will sell it to you for 20. It is a steal. And then they walk into the different grades of product that they use. They tell you all the different finishes that are done, and they're just reinforcing, look at all you get. Look at how little you have to pay. Look at what our competitors would charge for something similar. Being quite open about the fact that this is not original, this is not new, this is an idea we got from somewhere else, but it's a steal. Okay, so prestige brands moving around the dial, where this is words taken directly from Tamango. Prestige brands are for the upwardly mobile, the power seekers who want to associate with products and services they feel elevate them. Prestige is 100% about the image of the owner. So what we're talking about here is prestige brands will emphasize the power and success of their wearers. They'll have strong links with affluence. They'll control distribution with great care. It's got to be hard to get a prestige watch. Interestingly, what that means is there can only be a very small number of prestige brands, and they have to be easily recognizable and universally understood. They have really, really high marketing costs. It costs a lot to be a prestige brand. There's really, in the watch space, there are really only 3 prestige brands, and they are, and interestingly, they don't compete with each other. They actually exist in quite different spaces, which is why you can have 3 prestige brands. The 3 brands I think would be Rolex, AP, and Richard Mille. The Rolex advertisements that clearly are positioning their brand as one of success and power and status are legendary, and we all know about them. If you were speaking at the UN, you'd wear a Rolex. Their brands feature famous people and talk about the achievements of those people, and they directly link having the Rolex watch with that achievement. AP does something similar when it says it takes more than money to wear the Royal Oak, implying that you have to have some level of success, some level of prestige to have a Royal Oak, and that by extension, by having a Royal Oak, you are getting and transmitting that status and prestige. Okay, leaping across the diagram now, we're going to talk about the Connoisseur. A brand position for the Connoisseur is positioned to require and reward a deeper level of understanding of the field, whatever that is, than other brands. These watches will generally have limited audiences, but provide features or methods of production or design aspects that are unusual or challenging, either to produce or to actually get, to feel, to enjoy. Connoisseur brands or brands positioning for connoisseurs are for the insider, the one who knows things that others don't. Preferably, they're not well known or popular, except perhaps inside the industry or inside the little community that we're talking about. If they are well known at all, they're well known for their excellence. They're well known for something they do differently to anyone else. As I was editing this, I realized I left off the fact that this is very much JLC. JLC, for example, are the ultimate connoisseurs brand. If you look at the way they advertise, it'll be things like their advertising emphasizes the complexity of their pieces, the difficulty in making them. They refer to themselves as when you deserve a real watch, come to a JLC. And then, of course, there's the famous tagline that JLC itself is not above using, that they are the watchmakers of they are the watchmaker of watchmakers. This is kind of screaming from the rooftops in a very quiet way. We are the connoisseur's choice. When you want a real watch, when you want the watch that other people come to, other watchmakers come to, that's for us. Again, JLC, perfect example of positioning yourself for the connoisseur. Finally, we've got just the generic luxury positioning. Luxury watches don't exist to meet a need or solve a problem. Luxury customers aren't interested in value for money. They really want to know about the brand's heritage and their uniqueness. Now, importantly, when I talk about not being interested in value, doesn't mean that price doesn't matter. The price still needs to be reasonable, but it means that having a really low price is not a feature that they're going to advertise and rely upon to sell you this product. So for luxury brands, it's all about the feelings they inspire in the customer. And these feelings can be really varied. They could be fun or formal. They could be beach or boardroom. They could be carefree or deadly serious. It doesn't matter what feeling a luxury watch is trying to create. The different brands will all create different watches, different feelings, but it's about those feelings. Now, Patek Philippe and the way it advertises is pure luxury, but really the vast majority of Swiss watch brands do fall into this category. As I said, most Swiss watch brands do fall into this category, but I think Patek Philippe just master the art and their advertising really reflects it. So if we look at their advertising, it starts with the idea of begin your own tradition or begin your tradition. And it links the idea of the history of Patek to you and your history. It has a lot of intergenerational advertising. I think these ads from Patek Philippe really sum up nicely what it means to be positioning yourself as a pure luxury product. There's no emphasis here on money, wealth, achievement, nothing about status or what kind of person deserves to own one of these watches. It's hanging out with your kids and having a good time and having good feelings. These ads from Patek Philippe are pure luxury. Something I note is that the positioning of a watch and the positioning of the brand can occasionally be different, and that sometimes a brand will have a watch that's outside of its home base. The best example I could think of would be, say, the 5711, the stainless steel Nautilus, where it drifted into this status prestige space. And what's interesting is, in that case, Patek Philippe themselves felt that stress, felt that the tension created by having a watch in a different position than the brand wanted to be. So they killed the watch. But I don't think that has to happen. You don't have to kill watches that stray from home base. You just got to be careful to keep it under control and not have this happen too much. The other thing I'd note is that there can be overlaps between these positions. So you can be a premium choice but for connoisseurs, or you could be a prestige choice but carry a lot of luxury. But I would say that there are two overlaps that can't occur. You can't be luxury and premium, nor can you be prestige and for connoisseurs. Those are two, you just can't be both. Luxury is all about enjoying the feels and kind of parking the idea that you have to pay money and pushing that to the side. Premium makes money, and the fact that this is so cheap, front and center. It's a core part of the selling. To try and do both sort of dilutes both. And you end up with brands like Frederic Constant that have tried to live in, let's call it the affordable luxury space, and they really struggle. Whereas you get a brand like Christopher Ward, which owns being premium and rarely talks about, affordable luxury, and it's done so much better. Likewise, you can't really be for the connoisseurs, but also be a prestige piece. To be a prestige piece, you have to be universally known, understood, and appreciated. To be a connoisseur's piece, you can't be universally known and appreciated. Yeah, to try and be both is an oxymoron. You just can't. One of the things I'd stress is when it comes to pricing, if you move down to the premium end, the watches tend to be more affordable because you're emphasizing that these watches are value for money. That's easier to do when your watches don't cost a lot, but they don't have to be. So Christopher Ward selling a Bel Canto at $5,000, or their new Skeleton 12 for, again, I think it's $5,000 or $6,000. They're pricey watches, but they're still emphasizing their value for money. They're still emphasizing the product, the inherent product value. So they're still trading, even though they're four-figure watches, they're still premium products. At the other end, for example, luxury tends to be more expensive, but it doesn't have to be. The best example I can give of a very affordable, pure luxury piece would be a Moonswatch. So there's a $250 piece of plastic, but it's marketed, it's positioned, and it's sold as pure luxury. No one's trying to talk about how cheap it is. No one ever talks about how it's affordable. It's all about this watch will just make you feel great. It's that last example I give of the Moonswatch can produce a lot of angst in the community when the way a watch is positioned does not align with the community's expectation of where that watch would be. And the Moonswatch is the best example of this. So many people, I won't say everyone, but so many people in the watch online community expected a $200 cheap plastic quartz version of an Omega to be positioned as a premium watch, to be really cheap, to be really available, to be, online and instantly available, and really, people wanted it to be even cheaper. They wanted it to be $100 and $200. And when it wasn't, when Swatch instead positioned it like a luxury piece, making it hard to get, you had to go into stores, not just any store, but very specific stores. And maybe you had to line up, and maybe you couldn't buy them as you wanted to, and you weren't going to get them online. People lost their minds because what they expected a $200 watch to be, where they expected it to be positioned, simply didn't line up with their expectations. Finally, something I have to stress is that you may be buying a watch for a reason different to that the brand had in mind, and even despite the positioning of that brand. But the reason I say this is because I don't want this video to come across as saying that everyone that buys a Rolex, everyone that buys an AP is only doing it for the status, is only doing it for the likes on Instagram. That is absolutely not true. You as an individual can choose to buy a watch for whatever reason you want. I'm only talking about how the brand has positioned it to be sold and who would probably represent most of their buyers. Okay, so they're my quick thoughts on brand positioning, what that looks like in the luxury watch market, where a couple of brands fit, and some of the issues that come around that brand positioning. I don't expect you to like the idea of brand positioning. I don't expect you to like how brands position themselves. You can like whatever the hell you like. I'm not trying to convince you of any position being right or wrong, simply to help explain and give people a toolkit for understanding what's going on. So anyway, I've been Pete McConville. This is what I do. If you like this sort of thing, like, subscribe, hit the notification, little bell icon, that sort of stuff, and we will see each other later. Bye.